Oh, yes. Oh, yes. All gods are imaginary. But that is irrelevant today, anyway. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good day. Happy New Year 2022. This is my first live stream of the new year 2022. And I hope you have a healthy one so you can watch my live stream every single time I have one for the rest of the year. And hopefully many years beyond this one. I was in conversation not long ago in a video that I uploaded with, in conversation with a man, a gentleman calls himself Philip, Cornelius, Cornelis, something I can't remember. I'll anyway, I put the link to that conversation in the description below. I spoke to him for close to 2 hours and listened to his Christian. He's kind of sort of pseudo Christian interrogation or method of asking questions, and using questions with ambiguity or incoherence. And I concluded fairly well. I suspected fairly soon into the interview that he was a troll. And I congratulated him at the end for doing some really good troll work. Okay, so then he got his channel taken down by YouTube. Yeah, he's an absolute. I may not saves. Yeah, he's an absolute troll. But he came back, and he used this. He used this. I think he used. Oh, he used another name called biblical. I call those. I don't know why it here somewhere. It's just in my DNA to have it here somewhere. Hell, I think I'm losing my eyesight. Yes. Oh, we do not have. Oh, there it is. Oh, that wasn't it. That wasn't. No, that wasn't it. There's something strange happening in the Sidney Winston computer today. Yes, Laurie, that guy is nuts. And I'm going to show how he's a troll. He's an absolute 100% troll, and he gets people to fall for his bait. Now, the one that I'm going to show to that I'm going to react to today. It doesn't involve me at all because, as you can tell, with the one that I had with him, we actually were able to have some kind of a flowing conversation. But whereas in this upcoming one, I'm not so sure. There's something wrong. Hold on a minute. Something absolutely wrong with the whole thing that I've set up here. Ah, all Sorry, I'm absolutely stumped. Okay, and I'll tell you why I'm stumped. Because I have a he Maynard when I was under his interrogatory questioning, I caught him laughing. That's why I called him a troll. At least twice, 3 times, I caught him laughing. So so he plays gay. He's just having fun, and he's a really good troll. But I want to show you how he trolls a whole room of people. But because I'm OCD, I need to find this particular. I need to find this particular fucking image, and I don't know what happened. Oh, this is the weirdest thing that I've ever seen. I'm sorry for keeping you guys like this. This is driving me nuts. I just added it, and now I can't fucking find. Yes. Okay. Emergency's over. Go. There. All right. Sorry. I do apologize. I'll make it all better. Okay, so this guy, he's under. Oh, come on. Yeah. So he's a biblical, Christological account, comma, for the win. So that's what we're going to be dealing with today. Would you guys like to get started like right away? I think I do want to do that. Except I first want to say hi to the room. To you guys in the side chat. All right. So let's see. Maynard saves. KCA Randy. Good morning or good day. Good Earth time. Laurie Hayes. Yes, the guy's nuts. Maynard. Hello again. Wesley Curry, this sucker. Just saying hi. Okay, and that's everybody. At least that's everybody who's made themselves, has identified themselves. All right, so what we can do is start listening. We don't even, there's really nothing to watch. We just start. So we'll start from the very beginning. Actually, the reason I wanted to bring that all right, so he reads this in the very beginning, I think. So let's give it a try.
Biblically, hi, zoetic, consanguinities, fail to admit this non-copyrighted biblical Christological ministry of imperially ultimate verities and netting meta-ontotheology, metatheology, and meta-metaphilosophy, evangelize sonately and macroscopically via ears truly, biblical Christological account, FTW, biblically, gladly drafted this non-copyrighted biblical Christological ministry of inferiorly omnibus factualities as a benefactor bestowing funds unto his truly biblical Christological account, FTW, via the indexed Patreon account, via the infra, grandmastering in advance, biblically, lately like and subscribe unto the non-copyrighted biblical Christological enterprise or supernally actus purus veracities, affiliated betwixt this non-copyrighted biblical Christological ministry, superveniently for reclaim efficaciousness, grand mercy in advance, biblically, at any epoch of thy zoeticness, surreptitiously missive terms truly, biblical Christological account, FTW, via the aforementioned Patreon account. Biblical Christological God bless. Biblical Christological account, FTW. Non-copyrighted Biblical Christological YouTube.com ministry for the win. Biblically, we will soon move over to the next portion of this video. Just give me 20.
All right. So that was him. That was him reading his introduction, for whatever reason. And here is the actual video. Nothing else changes throughout the video, so I don't really have to have the video up. But I'll start putting the video up, and we'll just see how it goes. I am interacting with you in the chat. I don't have a Hangout open at this point. I don't know if I'm going to, if people want one, or if I feel that whatever. Maybe I'll have one later. But I specifically want to get through this video primarily. So let's do it.
Seconds, I'll be quick with this. This is Biblical Christological account,
all the way back.
FTW YouTube. Here to tell you all that neither of thou can destroy our biblical Christological God. Respond.
Neither of thou. You'll notice he speaks a lot of thous and these. So he said his question was neither of thou can dispose of the biblical Christological God, and now he wants a response. I have no idea what a biblical Christological God is, and I don't think that we find out all through this.
Bang! You see that shit?
Yeah, he's all knowing. That's all I got. That's all I have.
How can you kill the creator? Fuck, man. You know how much fucking work that was?
Your response of laughter
You are a nerve suit covered with meat. You used to be an ape. You're on top of a rock right now. You've been on a rock for 6 billion years, and it doesn't have it. It existed well before you did. Yeah, the Bible, whatever. Who cares? You literally are meat on a rock. You're not getting off here. Why do you care?
Biblically, tangible matter is not a destroyer to our biblical Christological God.
That's true. That's got to be true.
What the hell does that mean?
Biblically, your surmised claim of evolution is just a semantic label to the motion of tangible matter. Ergo, your claim is not a destroyer contra our biblical Christological God. Respond.
How long have you been doing this? How long have you been doing this?
Biblically, clarifying questions aren't destroyers.
How? No. I don't give a crap about the Bible right now or anything. I'm talking about you, biblical Christological account FTW. Why do you do this?
Biblically, I am evangelizing the awesomeness of our biblical Christological God. So to reiterate,
why?
Biblically, because I am serving our biblical Christological God. So to reiterate,
why?
Fact
to reiterate,
is that you can't destroy our biblical Christological God. Respond.
I don't have to destroy the God. The God doesn't exist. I don't have to destroy it if it doesn't exist.
Biblically,
hey Nikki,
I mean, you can believe that.
I
can fart in an elevator. Nobody's going to hear me.
Biblically,
no, okay, go ahead.
Our biblical Christological God does exist. So your claim was a contradiction, Because you first presupposed.
Right. Well, may he strike me down right now with something fatal.
Biblically,
I'm besmirching him. Your God doesn't exist.
Biblically,
your God doesn't.
Biblically,
Bible is a book by men.
Exists,
Bible is literally written by dudes.
Exists is
just
a verb.
Written by humans.
The word exists is a verb.
Didn't find it in a cave. You just wrote it.
Biblically, just because
it's not a verb. No, biblically, hold on.
Biblically, just because our biblical Christological God doesn't do all things, your claim is not a destroyer to our biblical Christological God. And now the host has muted me.
Yes, I would love for this to be going on.
Oh no, I'm all for it. I'm all for open debate and wondering what the hell is going on right now.
Okay. Hey, yo, hold up. Before you guys finish, shut up, Bible guy. Bible guy.
Hold on.
Bible guy, shut up for 2 seconds. 2 seconds, man.
And your conclusion was the
shut up. BSAF. That's what I'm gonna call you. That's what your avatar says. You're
I need to
BSAF.
know.
I'll mute him.
Did you make the coquito? Did you make the coquito, Heat?
You guys want me to
so biblically, the earlier person meta-ontologically presupposed the meta-ontotheology of our biblical Christological God.
There's really, I would enjoy this for the next 6 hours. I don't care, but I want the entertainment of everybody else.
Our biblical Christological God doesn't do all things.
I think it's funny.
His
I think it's
claim
hilarious.
is not a destroyer.
I know for the next 6 hours. I got nothing to do.
Alright, whatever.
I had to remove him.
Biblically,
I'm willing.
The host has removed me because I pointed out his contradiction. Ergo, biblical Christological God bless. Biblical Christological account, FTW. Non-copyrighted biblical Christological YouTube.com ministry for the win. Biblically, hi, zoetic consanguinities. Fail to admit this non-copyrighted biblical Christological ministry of imperially ultimate verities and netting meta-ontotheology, metatheology, and meta-metaphilosophy, evangelize sonately and macroscopically via ears truly, biblical Christological account, FTW, biblically, gladly drafted this non-copyrighted biblical Christological ministry of inferiorly omnibus factualities as a benefactor bestowing funds unto his truly biblical Christological account, FTW, via the indexed Patreon account, via the infra, Grandmastering in advance, biblically, elately like and subscribe unto the non-copyrighted biblical Christological enterprise of supernally actus puris veracities affiliated betwixt this non-copyrighted biblical Christological ministry, superveningly for reclaim efficaciousness, Grandmastering in advance, biblically, at any epoch of thy zoeticness, surreptitiously missive terms truly, biblical Christological account, FTW, via the aforementioned Patreon account. Biblical Christological God bless, biblical Christological account, FTW. Non-copyrighted biblical Christological YouTube.com ministry for the win. Biblically, we will soon move over to the next portion of this video.
Why? Who are you?
Biblically,
क्या बोल रहे हो बता?
Biblically, this is biblical Christological account, FTW YouTube. Here to express this brute fact contra thou is that you can't destroy our biblical Christological God. Respond.
तुम्हें जब टाइम मिलेगा तब तुम रिकॉर्ड करना. ओके ब्रो, रिकॉर्ड कर दूंगा. और यस, who are you? And
biblically, clarifying questions aren't destroyers to our biblical Christological God. Respond.
What are you telling about? Yeah.
biblically, clarifying questions aren't destroyers to our biblical Christological God.
Bro,
Respond.
So he's an absolute total troll, but he gets the foreigners, us Westerners. We know what trolling is all about. We recognize it, we applaud it, and it entertains us. So just like this one's doing. Let's listen in.
पता भाई
Biblically, the host has removed me from the stream. Ergo, biblical Christological God bless. Biblical Christological account, FTW. Non-copyrighted biblical Christological YouTube.com ministry for the win. Biblically, hi Zoetic consanguinities. Fail to admit this non-copyrighted biblical Christological ministry of imperially ultimate verities and netting meta-ontotheology, metatheology, and meta-metaphilosophy, evangelize sonately and macroscopically via ears truly, biblical Christological account, FTW, biblically, gladly drafted this non-copyrighted biblical Christological ministry of inferiorly omnibus factualities as a benefactor bestowing funds unto his truly biblical Christological account, FTW, via the indexed Patreon account, via the infra, grandmastering in advance, biblically, lately like and subscribe unto the non-copyrighted biblical Christological enterprise of supernally actus puris veracities affiliated betwixt this non-copyrighted biblical Christological ministry, superveniently for reclaim efficaciousness, grandmastering in advance, biblically, at any epoch of thy zoeticness, surreptitiously missive truly, biblical Christological account, FTW, via the aforementioned Patreon account. Biblical Christological God bless. Biblical Christological account, FTW. Non-copyrighted biblical Christological YouTube.com ministry for the win. Biblically, we will soon move over to the next portion of this video. Biblically, you can't destroy our biblical Christological God. Respond.
So you believe in the Bible?
Biblically, your response is not a destroyer to our biblical Christological God.
Okay, so the question was, do you believe in the Bible? Or do you believe in God? I think it was, do you believe in the Bible? And his answer, no, he said respond. So somebody responded by asking, do you believe in the Bible or something? And his response here was incoherent, which is going to be the pattern of this troll. For is he a troll or not? I put a poll up there. Let's see what you say.
Respond.
So you believe in Jesus?
Biblically, clarifying questions aren't destroyers to our biblical Christological God.
Clarifying questions, can't have those.
Nobody said they are, dude. You want to have a functional conversation, or you want to keep on repeating the same thing?
Exactly.
Biblically, thou can't destroy or defeat
there he's going with a thou.
Christological God. Respond.
There's like something wrong with you. the hell's your problem?
Biblically, metaphysical red herring ploys aren't destroyers or defeaters contra our.
It's like you're like literally a troll.
Mm-hmm.
Biblically, your surmised claim towards me is not a destroyer or defeater contra our biblical Christological God. Respond.
Respond. You're talking shit. There you go.
That is correct. It isn't.
Biblically, our biblical Christological God.
A robot.
Awesome.
Hey, God equals.
No, no. Your God sends people to hell for
Hold
disbelief.
on. We got some new people joined us. We have God equals the square root of -1. Welcome. And Shako is here. Welcome back. Okay, we get to carry on.
That's not awesome.
Biblically, you have clearly not thoroughly gone through the Bible.
Clearly not.
In Romans 1:20 in the New Testament, it states that since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities.
Romans 1:20, everybody. Are you all familiar? I'm not.
Eternal power and divine.
But then he says the Bible, and you know the Bible is fiction, so he's embarrassing himself and the world and our species.
Nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse. So it is to believe in Lord Jesus. So the word belief means to know. We know Lord Jesus exists, but we don't need to see Lord Jesus. So
that's a complete red herring. Like, dude,
absolutely.
Yeah, a person's responsible for disbelief in God. That doesn't mean he deserves to be thrown into an eternal pit of fire.
Biblically, you are contradicting yourself, because in meta-ontologically omnibenevolent God will reveal their divinity to us at terminus a quo, which Z has, because you have been using the proper noun God. So to reiterate said unimpeachable statement is that thou can't destroy our biblical Christological God. Respond.
Do you believe the punishment must fit the crime?
Biblically, clarifying questions aren't destroyers or defeaters contra our biblical Christological God. Respond.
Oh, God. Have yourself a good night.
Biblically, thou can't destroy our biblical Christological God. Biblically, the person left, ergo, biblical Christological God bless, biblical Christological...
Did you hear that? Biblically, the guy left. You can't make this up. I swear you can't make this up. No one in their right mind can think of something this crazy. I shouldn't say that, but it's a special genius, and this guy is a troll, not a genius.
Account, FTW, non-copyrighted biblical Christological YouTube.com ministry for the win. Biblically, hi, zoetic, consanguinity.
Oh, there he goes again.
Fail to admit this non-copyrighted biblical Christological ministry of imperially ultimate verities and netting meta-ontology, metatheology, and meta-philosophy. Evangelize sonately and macroscopically via ears truly.
Tell me if you
biblical Christological account.
Tell me if any of this makes sense to any of you, because he's now read it for the third time, as far as I'm counting. Maybe he'll give us the honor of reading it to us a couple more times. But literally, tell me if any of this makes any sense other than the donate to me part. But I'm stumped.
FTW, biblically, gladly drafted this non-copyrighted biblical Christological ministry of inferiorly omnibus factualities as a benefactor best knowing funds unto he is truly biblical Christological account. FTW, via the indexed Patreon account, via the infra, Grandmastering in advance. Biblically, lately like and subscribe unto the non-copyrighted biblical Christological enterprise of supernally actus purus veracities affiliated betwixt this non-copyrighted biblical Christological ministry, superveniently for reclaim efficaciousness, Grandmastering in advance. Biblically, At any epoch of thy zoeticness, so repetitiously missive terms truly, biblical Christological account, FTW, via the aforementioned Patreon account. Biblical Christological God bless, biblical Christological account, FTW. Non-copyrighted biblical Christological YouTube.com ministry for the win. Biblically, we will soon move over to the next portion of this video.
Alright, let's do it.
Biblically, thou can't destroy our biblical Christological God. Respond.
Well, first of all, hello. How are you? How are you doing? Merry Christmas. All that good stuff. I'm sorry, what was the question?
Biblically, your response is not a destroyer or a defeater to our biblical Christological God. Respond.
Sure, I'm not really interested in defeating God. If I could do that, I would have done it already. So, but no, really, yeah. I mean, so yeah, sure. I don't have any strong opinions one way or the other.
Biblically, thou can't destroy our biblical Christological God. Respond.
Destroying the non-tangible is a bit of a weird idea itself, so yeah. I don't know. Honestly, I was more having have like a normal conversation. I'm like writing a Christmas card, good God, in Chinese right now, and I don't speak Chinese, so I mean, I was looking to more just like chat about whatever. It's the holidays, man. I'm not in an arguing mood, you know.
Biblically, you have labeled yourself with a gimmicky worldview, which is fictitious, ergo,
a gimmicky worldview that is fictitious or suspicious. Either way, gimmicky. How does a guy who's talking so highfalutin with all these words that no one understands come up with a gimmicky?
Thou can't destroy our biblical Christological God. Respond.
What's fictitious about my, or I'm sorry, how did you describe my worldview?
Biblically, clarifying questions aren't destroyers to our biblical Christological God. Respond.
Jeez.
I think people can believe in whatever they choose to. Honestly, I have, yeah. I don't think you can destroy someone's belief in something. That's kind of it's like to destroy faith is to destroy someone's perception of reality. So,
hold on. I have to welcome Secular Pagan Mum, the latest one to join the chat. Henry Hansen, I didn't even notice you were here. Hey, or did I? Wesley made one. Wesley Curry II made one post. I'm actually kind of disappointed because he usually spams. Maybe he's becoming more compassionate.
You can't really destroy that. It's up to that person to change their perception of the world around them. So you can't, which is why I'm saying, like, God not being a tangible thing, faith itself being very intangible itself. You know, I think maybe we're working on different axioms here. So, but again, like I said before, I'm really not even trying to talk about this right now. You know what I mean? Like, I was looking for like casual conversation. So, I mean, if that's not what you want to do, like, I'm sure there are many people who would like to talk about this right now, but I am not one of them. So, you know.
Biblically, thy response is not a destroyer contra our
Alright, man, bees.
Christological God. Biblically, the person left, ergo, biblical Christological God bless, biblical Christological account, FTW. non-copyrighted biblical Christological YouTube.com ministry for the win. Biblically, hi Zoetic consanguinity.
Here he goes again. See?
Fail to admit this non-copyrighted biblical Christological ministry of imperially ultimate verities and netting meta-ontotheology, metatheology, and meta-metaphilosophy, evangelize sonately and macroscopically via ears truly, biblical Christological account, FTW, biblically, gladly draffer this non-copyrighted biblical Christological ministry of unfairly omnibus factualities as a benefactor best knowing funds unto his truly, biblical Christological account, FTW, via the indexed Patreon account, via the infra, grandmastering in advance, biblically, lately like and subscribe unto the non-copyrighted biblical Christological enterprise or supernally actus purus veracities affiliated betwixt this non-copyrighted biblical Christological ministry, superveniently for reclaim efficaciousness, grandmastering in advance, biblically, at any epoch of thy zoeticness, surreptitiously missive terms truly, biblical Christological account, FTW, via the aforementioned Patreon account. Biblical Christological God bless, biblical Christological account, FTW. Non-copyrighted biblical Christological YouTube.com ministry for the win. Biblically, we will soon move over to the next portion of this video. Biblically, my clarifying question to you is, in relation to your question, have you labelled your ontology in conjunction with the meta-ontotheology of our biblical Christological God sonately? Respond.
Unfortunately, I am unable to answer your question until you tell me what you would think of the South Island.
Biblically, I am asking you a clarifying question in relation to your question for intelligibility. So to reiterate said question is that, do you label your ontology in conjunction with the meta-ontotheology of our biblical Christological God?
I will not be entertaining clarifying questions until you tell me what you think of the South Island.
Biblically, this clarifying question is important as we share an ethereal God. Ergo, it is important for us to identify to tell the difference between what is tangible and intangible. So, to reiterate said question is that, do you label your meta-ontology in conjunction with the meta-ontotheology of our biblical Christological God?
Will not be entertaining clarifying questions until you tell me what you think about the South Island.
Biblically, the word South Island is too vague via this discourse. Ergo, my clarifying question to you is that, do you label your meta-ontology in relation to the meta-ontotheology of our biblical Christological God?
Will not be entertaining clarifying questions until you tell me what you think of the South Island of New Zealand.
Biblically, via the law of non-contradiction, your question could possibly well be a contradiction because you haven't verbally answered my question. So to reiterate my question in relation to your question is that, do you label your meta-ontology to be in conjunction with the meta-ontotheology of our ethereal biblical Christological God?
I will not entertain your question until you tell me what you think about the South Island of New Zealand.
Biblically, your question requires clarification, as tangible matter isn't all that there is. Ergo, my clarifying question remains standing contra deo, is that do you label your meta-ontology to be in conjunction with the meta-ontotheology of our biblical Christological God?
I will not entertain your question until you tell me what you think about the South Island of New Zealand.
Biblically, my clarifying question remains standing contra deo. To reiterate said question is that do you label the starting premise of your question in relation to the meta-ontotheology of our biblical Christological God?
Alright. Two things, okay? Two things here. Firstly, Merry Christmas. And secondly, I will not be entertaining your question until you tell me what you think about the South Island of New Zealand.
Biblically, your starting premise requires clarification. Ergo, I'll reiterate said question contra deo, is that do you label your meta-ontology to be in conjunction to our biblical Christological God?
I will not be entertaining your question until you tell me what you think about the South Island of New Zealand.
Biblically, I was asking you a clarifying question in relation to your question. Thus, to reiterate said clarifying question, is that do you label your meta-ontology to be in conjunction with the meta-ontotheology of our biblical
Damn. Okay, I was just welcoming all the newcomers to the room. Welcome Artangelos. Welcome Hydro Hose. I'd like to wish both of you a happy new year. This is my first live stream of the new year. So happy 2022 to both of you and your families. Be healthy, my friends. Be healthy. Now, considering this is the first contact I've had with Artangelo this year, I'm somewhat disappointed that his first line of text contains a personal insult. But Christians will be Christians, and there's just nothing we can do. Absolutely. Just carry on.
Christological God.
Sorry about the mute.
I will not entertain your question until you tell me what you think about the South Island of New Zealand.
Biblically, your starting premise betwixt your question requires clarification in order for your conclusion to be intelligible, so I'll reiterate said clarifying question, is that do you label your meta-ontology to be in conjunction with the meta-ontotheology of our biblical Christological God?
I will not be entertaining your clarifying question until you answer my question, which is, what do you think about the South Island of New Zealand?
Biblically, this is a form of communication.
I would like to know what this guy thinks about the South Island of New Zealand as well. I think we deserve an answer, don't you? Don't you think so? And for those who ask, this is a recording. The video that I'm playing is actually on the screen behind the text.
As I need for you to clarify your starting premise amidst your question, so I'll reiterate my clarifying question, contra Dao, is that do you label your meta-ontology to be in conjunction with the meta-ontotheology of our biblical Christological God?
So now we have meta-ontology and meta-ontotheology. Got it? It sounds pretty simple to me, but I have no idea what it is.
I'm about to offer to say yes to your question, but I want you to know that I do not mean it, and I'm only answering yes so that you will and tell me what you think about the South Island of New Zealand. Yes.
Biblically, yes.
What do you think about the South Island of New Zealand?
Biblically, your response was too vague, so you need to elaborate on your response. So I'll reiterate my clarifying question in relation to your question, is that do you label your meta-ontology to be in conjunction with the meta-ontotheology of our biblical Christological God?
Yes. What do you think about the South Island of New Zealand?
Biblically, your response was too vague for this discourse, ergo, Dao needs to elaborate on your response for clarification. Respond.
Yes,
I do that. What do you think about the South Island of New Zealand?
Biblically, your response was again too vague, so repeat after me. Our biblical Christological God is awesome.
Okay, from this point on, what he wants people to do is to repeat after me, my God is awesome. This is where he's going with the troll now.
Hold on here. Before I say it, I want you to know that I do not mean it in any sense, and I'm just getting you to, no, I'm just saying this to you so that you tell me what the South Island of New Zealand is, okay? Are you okay with that? If I say it and just not mean it, and only say it as a selfish means to get you to talk about what I want to talk about?
Biblically, clarifying questions, your clarifying question is not a proper response in relation to my clarifying question.
Yep, he's still biblically babbling.
Respond.
I will not be entertaining your question until you tell me what you think about the South Island of New Zealand.
Biblically, Dao needs to elaborate on thy response. So I'll reiterate my clarifying question in relation to thy's question.
Thy's question.
Do thou label...
Did you hear that? To thou's question. It's funny.
The starting premise to be in conjunction with the meta-ontotheology of our biblical Christological God.
I will not be entertaining your question until you answer my question about what you feel about the South Island of New Zealand.
Biblically, your starting premise requires clarification for intelligibility amidst said question. So I'll reiterate my clarifying question contra your question is that do thou label their starting premise to be in conjunction with the meta-ontology of our biblical Christological God?
I will not be entertaining your question until you answer my question, which I repeat is, what do you think about the South Island of New Zealand?
Yeah. Biblically, I was asking thou a clarifying question and netting thy question. Thou. So I'll reiterate my clarifying question to thou is that thou needs to clarify on
that's not a question. 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 You said I'm going to ask you a question, and you're like, you need to reiterate. That's not a question. That's a statement.
My conclusion will be will supervene with a question. So I'll cut to the question for the sake of this discourse is that do thou label their starting premise to be in conjunction with the meta-ontology of our biblical Christological God?
Entertaining your question until you answer my question, which is, what do you think about the South Island of New Zealand?
Biblically, you have not properly addressed my clarifying question, so...
And I will continue to refuse to do so until you answer my question, which is, what do you think about the South Island of New Zealand?
Biblically, your starting premise requires clarification,
and I will continue to refuse to clarify until you answer my question.
Biblically, this is a proper form of communication in order for the syntax within your question to be intelligible. So I'll reiterate my clarifying question to thou is that do thou label the starting premise amidst your question to be in conjunction with the meta-ontology of our biblical Christological God?
I will not be entertaining your question or answering any clarifying questions or responding to any further questions that you may have until you answer my question, which I will pose to you once again. What do you think about the South Island of New Zealand?
Biblically, for the sake of this discourse, your starting premise requires clarification. So, do you label your...
How does a question, what do you think of this South Island of New Zealand, how does that contain a starting premise?
Or starting premise betwixt your question to be a netting our meta-ontologically omnibenevolent, eternally incorporeal, immutable, ultimate, and actus purus biblical Christological God?
So the first 35 Roman emperors are as follows. First it's Augustus, and then Tiberius, and then Caligula, and then Claudius, and then Nero, and then after that it's a year of the 4 emperors, which goes like Galba, Otho, Vitellius, and then Vespasian. After Vespasian comes his son Titus. Titus dies of a fever after 1 year, and then Domitian comes in power. Domitian, He reigns for like 17 years, I think, and then Nerva takes over. After Nerva comes Trajan, Hadrian, Antoninus Pius, and Nerva, Trajan, Hadrian, Antoninus Pius, Marcus Aurelius. And after Marcus Aurelius comes Commodus. Actually, there's Marcus Aurelius and Lucius Verus, but Lucius Verus didn't really do anything, so I kind of forget about him. Anyways, after Marcus Aurelius comes Commodus, and then after Commodus, it's the year of the 5 emperors, which goes like Pertinax, Didius Julianus, Gordian the Elder, Gordian the Young. Wait, Didius Julianus. No, it's Didius Julianus, and then Pescennius Niger, Claudius Albinus, and then Septimus Severus. And this begins the Severan dynasty, which goes like Septimus Severus, and then his sons Caracalla and Geta, and then after Septimus Severus dies, Caracalla kills Geta, and then Caracalla becomes the leader. After Caracalla comes Macrinus, which was like some like equite. After Macrinus comes Diadumedian, I think, which is his son or whatever. But then he gets overthrown, and then Elagabalus comes into power, and then it's Alexander Severus, right? And then it's Alexander Severus, and then after Alexander Severus dies, it's Maximinus Thrax, and then it's Gordian the Elder and Gordian the Younger, and then after that it's Pupienus and then Balbinus, and then it's Gordian the Younger, the youngest, and I think that's 35.
Biblically, Dow has not properly addressed my clarifying question, and netting thy earlier question, and netting our biblical Christological God. Biblically, I will reiterate said question is that, do you label your meta-ontology to be in relation to the meta-ontotheology of our biblical Christological God?
Can you say that one more time?
Biblically, do thou label their meta-ontology to be...
No, you're only asking half the question. Repeat your full statement.
Biblically, I will reiterate the aforementioned question to thou. So, do thou label their meta-ontology to be in conjunction with the meta-ontotheology of our biblical Christological God?
Can you say that again?
Biblically, do thou label their meta-ontology to be in conjunction with the meta-ontotheology of our biblical Christological God?
Can you say that one more time?
Biblically, because you are not properly addressing my question, I will reiterate the aforestated question, is that, do thou label their meta-ontology to be in conjunction with the meta-ontotheology of our biblical Christological God?
What was that again?
Biblically, to summarize my clarifying question in a different format for clarification, is that thou has already presupposed the divinity of our biblical Christological God within their starting premise.
But I said that. I premised me saying yes with I don't mean it, and I am only saying it because I want you to talk about what I want to talk about.
Biblically, your response was too vague, as you need to elaborate on your response for clarification, rather than merely responding with a yes or a no. So in order for this discourse to move forward, you must repeat after me, is that our biblical Christological God is awesome. Respond.
What was that again? Can you say that one more time?
Biblically, you must repeat after me, is that our biblical Christological God is awesome.
Can you say that one more time? I didn't hear you.
Biblically, thou must repeat after me, is that our biblical Christological God is awesome.
What was that? I couldn't hear you. Can you say that again?
Biblically, thou must repeat after me, is that our biblical Christological God is awesome.
Can you say that again?
Biblically, thou must repeat after me, is that our biblical Christological God is awesome.
Can you say that again?
Biblically, thou must repeat after me, is that our biblical Christological God is awesome.
I will not be entertaining clarifying questions until you tell me what you think about the South Island of New Zealand.
Biblically, I wasn't asking you a clarifying question amidst my last response. So, to reiterate the aforestated response, is that thou must repeat after me in order for this discourse to move forward. So, thou must say that our biblical Christological God is awesome.
How do you spell discourse?
Biblically, clarifying questions is not a proper form of communication in annexing this sort of format, as you have to properly address my request by repeating after me. So thou must say, our biblical Christological God is awesome.
I don't know what repeating means. Could you clarify that word for me?
Biblically, I will reformat my request to thou. Is that
what does reformatting mean?
Is that biblically I will reformat my request to thou again. So to reiterate my request in a different format, is that thou must sonantly follow.
What does that mean?
Biblically, I will format my request contra thou again, is that thou must say that our biblical Christological God is awesome.
What does reformat mean?
Biblically, that the word, your question is not annetting my request, as my request was a different premise and conclusion. So to reiterate the aforementioned premise and conclusion, is that you must say that our biblical Christological God is awesome.
How do you spell premise?
Biblically, you have not properly addressed my request, so I'll reiterate my request to thou, is that you must say that our biblical Christological God is awesome.
What does awesome mean?
Biblically, you have not properly addressed my clarifying question, so I will elaborate on the word awesome by putting it into context, is that our biblical Christological God is an ultimate God, therefore Z is worthy of our worship. Biblically,
what does ultimate mean?
Biblically, ultimate means our biblical Christological God. Ergo, my aforestated premise / request remains standing to thou.
What was that request again?
So I'll reiterate the aforementioned request to thou is that thou must say that our biblical Christological God is awesome.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Biblically, thou must say that our biblical Christological God is awesome.
What?
Biblically, thou must say that our biblical Christological God is awesome.
What?
Biblically, thou must say that our biblical Christological God is awesome.
What?
Biblically, because thou can't destroy our biblical Christological God, our biblical Christological God is awesome.
What?
Biblically,
can you say that again?
Biblically, because thou can't destroy our biblical Christological God, thou must say that our biblical Christological God is awesome.
What?
Biblically, thou can't destroy our biblical Christological God, ergo, thou must say that our biblical Christological God is awesome.
What?
Biblically, thou can't destroy our biblical Christological God, ergo, thou must say that our biblical Christological God is awesome.
Sorry, I didn't hear you. Could you say that one more time?
Biblically, thou can't destroy our biblical Christological God, ergo, thou must say that our biblical Christological God is awesome.
What? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Could you say that one more time?
Biblically, thou can't destroy our biblical Christological God, ergo, thou must sonantly say that our biblical Christological God is awesome.
What?
Biblically, thou can't destroy our biblical Christological God, ergo, thou must say that our biblical Christological God is awesome.
What?
Biblically, biblically, you seem to be possibly having connection issues, ergo,
You're breaking
my
down,
task,
man. You're cutting in and out.
ergo, you...
Can you say that one more time?
Ergo, biblically, you possibly have connection issues, or you are possibly alluding away from the request that was articulated
I
to
can't hear you, man. You're like cutting in and out a lot. What was that?
Biblically, we will...
What do you think about the South Island, man? Come on, just tell me.
Biblically, we will continue this discourse when...
Tell me about the South Island.
You have...
Don't you leave now, alright? You little biblical fuck, alright? Tell me what you think about the South Island.
Biblically, you
Bickerly? What is bickerly? What is bickerly? You said bickerly. What do you mean? Biblically or bickerly? What is bickerly? Tell me.
Biblically, you haven't addressed my clarifying question in relation to your question. Ergo, we can either continue this discourse in the future, or you can address my clarifying question, or you can address my request that I presented to now. Respond.
What was that request again? Could you say that one more time?
Biblically, in order for this discourse to move forward, thou must clarify on the meta-ontology by explicitly saying that our biblical Christological God is awesome.
Can you say that again? What?
Biblically, we will continue this discourse in the future when you fix your internet connection, or when you have the courage to comply with my request. Biblical Christological God bless. Biblical Christological account FTW. Non-copyrighted Biblical Christological YouTube.com ministry for the win. Biblically, hi Zoetic, Consanguinities, fail to admit this non-copyrighted Biblical Christological ministry of imperially ultimate verities and netting meta-ontotheology, metatheology, and meta-metaphilosophy, evangelize sonately and macroscopically via ears truly, Biblical Christological account FTW, biblically, gladly drafted this non-copyrighted Biblical Christological ministry of inferiorly omnibus factualities as a benefactor best knowing funds unto his truly, Biblical Christological account FTW, via the indexed Patreon account, via the infra, Grandmastering in advance, biblically, lately like and subscribe unto the non-copyrighted Biblical Christological enterprise of supernally actus puris veracities affiliated betwixt this non-copyrighted Biblical Christological ministry, superveniently for reclaim efficaciousness, Grandmastering in advance, biblically, at any epoch of thy zoeticness, surreptitiously missive ters truly, Biblical Christological account FTW, via the aforementioned Patreon account. Biblical Christological God bless. Biblical Christological account FTW. Non-copyrighted Biblical Christological YouTube.com ministry for the win.
So you got to admit this guy is a troll, right? That was pretty much the whole video with him. But unwell, yeah, that's kind of a non-troll type of a troll. That's more of a mental illness kind of a troll. But anyway, I guess we as human beings find it entertaining. I had to change the subject. I've had a few conversations regarding circumcision. As you know, I strongly support bodily autonomy for the individual, both male and female, anything. Bodily autonomy until responsible adult decisions can be made by that person about their body. Notwithstanding any medical issues that a doctor needs to be involved. I'm talking about the traditional Jewish custom of ritual genital mutilation. So what I've done, and I've done this over probably 30 years, probably between 20 to 25 years ago and this week, I have been speaking to Jewish women and trying to understand their psychology, their thoughts, when they handed their little 1-week-old infant boy to an unknown, untrained medically Jewish ritual genital mutilator. In short, we call them moils. M-O-H-E-L, moil. I propose that the position of moil be ridiculed, be held to public ridicule, because there's a moil here in town that I know, have known for decades, who's been performing genital mutilations, religious genital mutilations, and he now teaches the young rabbis in the city to perform the same, to carry on the tradition of genital mutilation, the traditional Jewish ritual of genital mutilation, male genital mutilation. So I'm going to make this quite a central topic of an upcoming open chat, and let's see where it goes. I think it's time to hit some controversial topics that are elephants in the room. For example, like the one I just mentioned. No one has ever. Hold on a second. Let me tell you the reactions I got from the Jewish women that I asked. When I said this, I said, you, as a human being, a mother who has a 1-week-old baby who you have to defend, who trusts you not to hurt him, how do you give the baby over to somebody, a stranger, for a ritual genital mutilation? What is it in your head that allows you to do that? And in 99%, I still can't believe the answers that I'm getting from these Jewish women. 99% of the Jewish women had the same answer. A circumcised penis looks better. I kid you not. Jewish women, why do you circumcise your kids? Why do you support circumcision? Answer. A circumcised penis looks better. Right, so that I'm going to bring up as a topic, and I essentially I'm attacking the ethical mind, the psyche of a woman who gladly and willfully gives up her child for ritual genital mutilation. If that's the case, why should child slavery be such a big taboo? Sell your child into slavery for 2, 3, 5 years, okay, and then maybe you get your child back after that. Like it could be a good business. I mean, circumcision, ritual genital mutilation is a good business for those untrained in medical procedures who perform these obnoxious, egregious surgeries without any medical practice. In fact, without any scientific. They're all a rabbi's education comes from the Torah and the Talmud and the Mishnah and the blah blah whatever. Old shit, like from thousands of years ago. So I have a mission. Why does Judaism need circumcision? Why? If I grew up as a boy, even in a Jewish family, non-Jewish family, whatever, and I decide that, you know what, Judaism is for me, I like the whole circumcision thing, I'm going to commit to it. Fine. My own adult decision. But to take a 1 week old little baby boy and submit it to excruciating pain, no painkiller, just no training, just some guy whose only job is to tell you that you have a problem, God is the solution, and he can provide that, he can be the catalyst for that solution. Made up bullshit. So I'm pretty angry about that. I think all this hubbub and all this all the hullabaloo about female abortions, I think that on the whole, genital mutilation is worse than abortion as an issue, as a reality, because the trauma of male genital mutilation runs very deep and very wide, because there's many males who have been forced into having had genital mutilation slaughter, penile slaughter, and it's time to stop. It's absolutely time to stop. We're still in the Middle Ages, you know that. This is not any modern world we live in. Sure, technology and everything, but culturally, we're still in the Middle Ages. We still think like peasants 800 years ago. It's crazy. It's crazy. We've got to stop. We've got to grow up. We've got to. In fact, I just want to say this: that the only reason that Christianity has survived, or did survive, the only one reason that Christianity survived and has managed to grow, in other words, it had managed to, in the beginning, managed to grow an audience and to get members. The only reason is that anyone who wanted to join a Jesus club did not have to forcefully have a circumcision, be circumcised like they had to before. So they changed the rule. You don't need to be circumcised to become a Christian, and the pews filled up, the buildings filled up, the lines formed up to sign up. So I think the Jews have got to take a good hard look at their barbaric expectations of young mothers who have baby boys and are allowed to hold them and love them for 1 week before the baby's wrenched away, mutilated, thrown back in the mother's arms, and destroyed. I don't think any amount of therapy can really heal this. So what do you guys say about it? Let's see. Lucky Seven Wolfman's here. Hello. God equals the square root of -1. Hello. Who else? Butthole mouth. Hello. Okay. All right. So I've had surgery that was more entertaining than that. Yeah, good one. Circumcision was routine when I was growing up. It was healthier. So they said exactly. It was like the unpronounceable alleged pandemic that we're going through now. Doing what the government said is healthier. That's what they say. That's all I can say too. It's healthier. But it doesn't remove any parts of your body. Just a little off the top. Yeah. In America was routine. I understand that. I get it. And if America wants to keep it routine, fine. I'm just talking about the Jews. What they do to young Jewish mothers, I think, is virtual. It actually is an absolute control of the mother's mind. You make a woman give up her child for ritual circumcision. Think nothing of it. Don't explain it other than to say this cements a covenant between you, your child, your little baby boy, and God. That's it. So I think the child should have the say, the decision there, not a rabbi, and not even the mother. The only person who can have a decision, can have an opinion, in my opinion, the only person who can have an opinion, in my opinion, is the doctor, a doctor, if there's a problem. But, you know, we're born with them. There's problems with lots of people with lots of things when they're born, right? It's not common, but it's not unheard of. There are medical issues that people have, but ritual genital mutilation is just plain cruel. And I would like to have you nice people join me in my oh, now I have a double activism. Oh, man. Well, firstly, I want to normalize atheism and normalize humanism, and I guess number 3 would be to normalize intactivism. In other words, normalize intact penises. When they normalize, leave everybody alone. When they're born, just leave them alone. Fuck this. Don't lob things off, don't touch, don't prod, don't paint, don't do anything. Just leave them alone. Let them grow up as individuals, and if they happen to follow the path of any religion, you're the one that he grew up in, fine. But give the lad a choice. You rabbis, you are cruel cunts. You really are cruel cunts. All right, I haven't opened up a hangout yet because I don't really want to sit in there on my own. Or is there an indication? Oh, there's only 3 people watching, but is there an indication from you 3 people as to whether you would like me to open up a hangout, a chat room, or not? Your silence will mean no. Okay? But I mean, the main idea of today's show was to bring you that wonderful bit of troll entertainment provided by biblical Christological account. So, okay, so there's circumcision, there's normalizing atheism, and there's normalizing humanism. I would like to focus on, well, I don't have a particular favorite for either one. I probably will have to focus separately on the 3. All right. We've just taken up 90 minutes of our lives. At least I have. I'd like to thank you very much for watching me. I would appreciate your like, your subscribe, your share. And if you want to buy me a coffee, PayPal me /Sidney Winston. Thank you so much for watching.